It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Hands it off to Wendell Tyler, looking for an opening across the 50 to the 45-yard line, the 40, look out, far sideline, 35 to 30.
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Tarosian, and this is RamView, the February 1st, 2023 edition. I'm Joe Tarosian, and it is awesome to be here. And this episode, of course, is brought to you by a new sponsor, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. At Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since '92. Check out KistlerLawFirm.com. And, of course, by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. All right. Busy day in sports. I was going to wait until the morning, but I decided that I'm going to get this out tonight. Working on that new opening. Got to do some tinkering with it. But news broke, of course. Tom Brady retired again. Same day, 1 year later. Never hated Tom Brady. Can't hate Tom Brady. Tom Brady is a lot like Joe Montana to me. Played for my enemy, but sometimes a player is just so good, they just transcend and you just admire what they do. And so Tom Brady did that. The only thing I could speak of in regards to Tom Brady that would be in the pejorative, honestly, and that's only a surface appearance because we don't know what really happened. And if so, to say anything beyond that is a big mistake. But the apparent thing that took place was he lost his marriage by coming back this year. Now, I imagine there were other things involved, but I hope that can be worked out for him. Otherwise, everything was perfect in his career, so congratulations. I'm not weeping. I know some other teams that are probably weeping. I know some other teams that are probably looking for some other answer right now. But the Brady era is over, right? Sean Payton's era, Denver is just beginning. Cost them a first this year and a second and a fourth, or a second and a third next year. And that's the compensation the Saints got because technically he was still under contract when he stepped down. I think it's a good move for Denver long term. Peyton is still young and young enough that he can give them maybe 10 years. And they need to think about, going forward, they're stuck with Tom Brady. Not Tom Brady, I'm sorry. They're stuck with Russell Wilson. He's not Tom Brady. And they got to figure out how they're going to work this out because Wilson's fading. We knew Wilson was fading. You could just see Wilson was fading. Everyone wants to deny it. Now, maybe Peyton can come in and rejuvenate his career. There's talent around him, but no draft picks. I mean, they've lost a lot of draft picks. And on top of that, they are just spent in terms of salary cap. And the Russell Wilson deal where he starts getting 50 rocks a year hasn't even kicked in yet. So Peyton's going to have a long road in front of him, and you hope it works out. Kind of. I've never been a big Denver fan, but you always want to root for somebody. Speaking of rooting for people, former San Francisco 49er, DC, DeMeco Ryans, ex-Houston Texan linebacker, is now the Houston Texans head coach. And the bummer about this for us is the 49ers are going to get a compensation pick, probably a third rounder for him in one of the upcoming drafts because DeMeco Ryan, of course, is minority. And for the record, DeMeco Ryan, it's good that he got a 6-year contract because it's going to take time for them to build. They might have a down stretch this year again, maybe put them in the running for Caleb Williams next year. Who knows? But DeMeco Ryans is the fourth African-American head coach hired by the Houston Texans, third consecutively, okay? David Culley, Lovie Smith, and then DeMeco Ryans, and now a 6-year contract with DeMeco Ryans. And there's always that, that's racist. It's racist. Lovie Smith was fired because it's racist. Stephen E. Smith has to keep working. But do you keep hiring people if you're biased against their race? I just don't get it. And, of course, it's something that's got to be ginned up. And speaking of which, we have entered what I call the silly season. So I'm telling you, because we got 2 weeks, a 2-week void of football before the Super Bowl. There's always stuff that comes up that pops into this window. Last year it was the Brian Flores lawsuit. Keep your eye open because something's going to break. Something will happen that'll cause a stir. And
it was a stone groove.
no, not necessarily a stone groove. It's not a stone groove. It's more of a stay in your lane, bro type. There you go. That's what it is. It's a stay in your lane, bro type of thing where people don't want to talk about these things. But in the next 2 weeks, somewhere before the Super Bowl starts, there's going to be a social justice, domestic violence, LGBTQ issue to pop up related to the NFL and how evil the NFL is, how racist the NFL is, how bigoted the NFL is, and of course, by that case too, also convicting America. And so, just I want to stay in my lane, but just make sure you have your eyes open for that. That's true, but just make sure you have your eyes open because it's going to happen. It began on Monday. There was this push to make a big deal out of Mahomes and Hurts, the two first Super Bowl where both quarterbacks are African American or black. And the truth is about this, nobody cares. Nobody gives a rip. Right? If you understand sports, if you are interested in sports, which most of the media types, even those who get paid to be in the media, and are definitely not the entertainment types, they know nothing about sports. These things bother them. They don't bother you if you understand sports and are interested in sports. So don't let them influence you. Don't let them stir your pot. They're going to try to get your blood to boil one way or the other. True fans don't care. True fans don't care. And remember, it's the media system that put Bill Cowher into the Hall of Fame before Tom Flores. Tom Flores hanging around for years, decades, with 2 Super Bowl rings, managed to work with Al Davis, won 2 Super Bowls with those crazy Raiders, Alzado, Ted Hendricks, Jim Plunkett, all those guys, won 2 Super Bowls. But Bill Cowher goes in the Hall of Fame first? What's that all about? Don't trust the media. Don't trust these folks that tell you how to think and what to believe. And I said this back in 2006, and I know you didn't remember me because we were doing podcasts in those days, but I put it in my old FanView column. If you remember back in 2006 when Tony Dungy and Lovie Smith, Dungy with the Colts, Lovie Smith with then the Bears, matched up in the Super Bowl, I understand a little bit. You had 2 African-American coaches going head on. But they turned it into, if you watched all the PSAs and all the promo stuff, kind of like the stuff you see between commercials now that tell you lies about Jesus, right? And they're, they extend the truth on these. Jesus cares, he gets us. There's some nice stuff in there, but there's a lot of stupid stuff in there too. But during the 2006 lead to the Super Bowl, 2007, they were showing all these PSAs that the world was changing because Tony Dungy and Lovie Smith, 2 black head coaches, were facing off in the Super Bowl as if black people never watched football before, right? I know I need to stay in my lane, but this is the kind of stuff where the culture has influenced our sports world, where sports used to be this vacuum that we got away from, that we used to get away from everything in the world, and they keep having to throw stuff in. Tony Dungy and Lovie Smith themselves said it didn't matter to them. They just wanted to be in that Super Bowl. And so it's important for us to recognize those things as the pot will attempt to get stirred. But good for D'Amico Ryans. And someone said, Joe, well, why do you care? And I said, I don't care. I just care about how we are manipulated by our media. I call it the KBM, the Kiss Butt Media. They manipulate people and create frenzy, right? And everything's racist, everything's bigoted, everything's this, and they don't read people for who they are. They just throw things out to get clicks. I never saw anyone that looked like me play for the Rams, right? I get the half-breed Armenian card to play here because I'm half Armenian, Native American, and some other stuff. I'm like 46.9% Northern European. So technically I'm a person of color. Of course, now we do things today. But I never saw anyone that looked like me. I didn't care about seeing anyone that looked like me because I learned my value comes from the Lord and the classiness of my mom, who didn't seem like as a blue-collar factory worker, wouldn't have a lot of class, but my mom loved everybody, and she taught us never to look at people that way. So my favorite Laker growing up as a kid was Connie Hawkins. Did you ever see Connie Hawkins play? Yeah, I loved Connie Hawkins. My favorite Dodgers of all time, and the ones I was most upset about when they left the organization, Dusty Baker, Fernando Valenzuela, Pedro Guerrero. Do they look anything like me? Right? My favorite Rams were Harold Jackson, James Harris, Lawrence McCutcheon, Wendell Tyler, and the legendary, as far as I'm concerned, Pat Thomas, right? These guys were my favorite Rams. They didn't look like me. Oh, I may have had one bigoted view. Yeah, my favorite hockey player was a Canadian named Bernie Nichols. I loved Bernie Nichols. I was really mad when the Kings traded him. But the persistent shame heaped upon the country, its people, our some of our corporations, you need to ignore it, and you'll be all the better for it, because it's stuff that stuff is going to come. But again, like I said, congratulations to D'Amico Ryan. I hope he does really well. I put out something today on RamView, just on some of the sites, and I said I'd like to see the Rams take an edge. I think they need an edge rusher at the draft, but at the number 36 pick, I think they should be looking to upgrade at tight end, because I don't think Bryson Hopkins has developed. Bryson Hopkins only has one more year left, and Tyler Higbee should be a cap casualty, because the Rams are like 13, just under 14 rocks over the cap, and they need to get. I think some of the veterans will restructure, and there'll be a few cuts, but it's not unmanageable, right? But I took a lot of heat for this, because it was like, you blank and idiot, don't you know anything? We need offensive line. And we're going to get more into the draft as time goes on. But when you're drafting at 36, Sean McVay's never drafted at 36. I think the highest was 57 when we took Tutu Atwell. And I understand people are upset about that. But do you really want to draft an offensive lineman 36th overall? Now, if this guy's a Rashawn Slater, a Penei Sewell, okay, I get it. But I don't think you're going to get one of those guys at 36. What you want is somebody that can change the game for you. A running back would likely drop to the 36th spot, because no one wants to pay first-round money to a running back anymore. Get it. An edge rusher, obviously, we need it. And then, of course, the one I'm arguing for is a tight end, because Higbee's getting old. Bryson Hopkins is going to be going into the last year. He was a 2020 draft pick. Didn't play that year. Didn't make 2021 season. Played some. We're still waiting for him to kind of become the guy. He's got time. And here's the other thing about drafting an offensive lineman: to make them all number one picks, right? We don't have any number one picks. Then we better take one at 36. Did you know Andrew Whitworth was taken 55th overall in the second round in the 2006 draft? Did you know that Rob Havenstein was taken 57th overall in the second round in the 2015 draft? The Chiefs' starting left tackle in the Super Bowl was 83rd overall in 2018. David Bakhtiari, the standout, longtime standout Packer left tackle, 109th overall, fourth round, 2013. The Ravens' Morgan Moses, left tackle, one of the top-rated tackles this year, 66th overall, third round, 2014. How about the centers? Jason Kelsey, Eagles. You say Chief in Travis, but Jason Kelsey, the center for the Eagles, one of the best centers. List him as one of the best centers of all time. Sixth round, 191st overall in 2011. The one that everyone's upset about that we didn't draft, and I completely understand it. I wanted them to draft him too. Creed Humphrey, center for the Chiefs, playing in the Super Bowl. Second-rated center in the league, right? He was drafted 63rd overall. That means not only the Rams passed up Creed Humphrey, everybody in the NFL passed up Creed Humphrey in 2021. At guard, I think he's with the Browns. Ethan Pacheck, 58th overall in 2017. He's the number 2 rated guard in the league. Michael Onuyu of the Vikings. He is number 182 overall, and he was ranked the second best, third best guard in the league. The fourth best rated guard in the league, Joe Thuney, who everyone likes. Joe Thuney. Remember, he left the Patriots, got some more money. He's playing with the Chiefs. Third round, 78th overall in 2016. Yeah, there's talent to be had, and the exceptional talent is in those early parts of the draft. So you need to think, I can get a lineman down the road, and I need to get that game breaker. I need to get that edge rusher. I need to get that tight end. I need to get that running back. Or maybe if there's a killer corner out there, you can go get him. You can never have enough corners, right? I'm for drafting corners and offensive linemen every draft, every year. Okay. But the truth we have to look at with Tyler Higbee is he's 30 already. He just turned 30 on January 1st. He's played, 7 seasons. And if you kick him to the curb as a cap casualty, they'll save close to 4 rocks alone. That's almost a third of their deficit with salary cap. And you've seen it with Higbee. He has one more injury all the time. There are the occasional drops, right? And you have to believe that the Rams are looking that way. Bryson Hopkins is in his last year of his rookie contract. Are you going to re-sign him right now? Bring him back? Kendall Blanton, they've already moved on from. So what are they going to do at tight end? And I think if they can find a game breaker, there's some talented tight ends in the draft this year, from Mayer at Notre Dame down to Duncan Kincaid at Utah. I think the Rams really should be looking at a tight end, and we'll see. Edge rusher not bad, running back not bad, and such. And so you also need to think about this, where I took the most heat, where I was called a blanket idiot and all these other things and other stops, was yes, there's always room to add an offensive lineman, right? The Rams have 10 picks this year. They have picks number 36, 69, and 168. They also have another pick in this, 2 more picks in the 6th round, or actually 3 more picks in the 6th round, 2 in the 7th. And so they got 10 picks. There's room to draft another offensive lineman, okay? And you see by the top linemen in the league right now, many of them were taken, second and third round. Joe Noteboom is not going anywhere. If his Achilles is healed, they invested in him significantly to play left tackle. When he played left tackle before, filling in for Andrew Whitworth, he played well. Also, he got off to a rough start. Von Miller, that opening night of the season, but slowly his numbers ticked up. Also, there was a lot of incontinuity, lack of continuity on his right, left guard. David Edwards had a horrible year. David Edwards is a free agent. Doesn't look like, I don't know, do you want to bring David Edwards back? He was a starting left guard for us. We won a Super Bowl with him, but maybe we've gotten the best out of David Edwards. And there was no stability there. When there's an anchor that you're familiar with, I'm sure it helps quite a bit. But Joe Noteboom is going to get every chance to play left tackle. They've already invested the money in him. And you don't save any money by releasing him right now. Also at center, Brian Allen, run blocking, pass blocking in 2021, the year we won the Super Bowl. He surprised everyone and graded out in the 80 percentile. We're talking top 7 centers in the league in 2021. He played a handful of games this year because he was hurt. We can't write him off yet. How can you write him off? This was a weird anomaly. This season was weird. Everybody went down. So is Brian Allen washed? I don't think Brian Allen's washed. I think you got to find out. This was an off year. It was a weird thing that happened. And if Brian Allen comes back to anything close of what he was in 2021, you got a solid NFL center. Rob Havenstein had a solid year at right tackle. Had a solid year. Alaric Jackson showed he can start in the NFL, and he's versatile. Tackle or guard. He played well. He scored well. He's got blood clots. Hopefully that gets worked out and we get him back. Tremaine Ingram is somebody the team does have confidence in. Played one play, and hurt himself and was out the year. And then we never saw Logan Bruss. Logan Bruss was hurt in the last preseason game. I think he 104 overall, 103 overall. He's a Wisconsin dude. So they invested last year. The injuries happened. And all these guys up and down the line, they got playing time. And there's a couple of guys. I wouldn't bring back Max Skura, but if Ty Nesky wants to come on a dirt cheap deal, keep him for depth. But I don't think you have to go at number 36 for the Rams draft pick, go offensive line, unless you've got a showstopper there. But if the showstopper, the Rashawn Slater, the Penei Sewell, if that guy is there, he's gone. He's already gone. So at 36, running back, tight end is what I would prefer. and mostly edge rusher too. Yeah, that's what you need to be looking at this season for the Rams. It's going to be fun. A lot of draft picks. The compensatory picks won't be official, and we'll know their slots in March, so we'll get that. Like I said, I'm for drafting offensive linemen every year, but I don't want to draft him at 36. All right. My name is Joe Terosian. I think I said that at the top. I am a sports writer. I'm a 21-year veteran sports writer. I don't sports write much anymore. I do this. And I also write books. My books can be found on Amazon, Joe Terosian, Torosian. And you can read about them there. Also, I'm a pastor at a small church in Burbank, Burbank Faith Nazarene. And you could follow us at Burbank Faith Virtual on YouTube and also on Facebook. And I sprinkle those messages around on Twitter and Instagram as well. Also, I am a board member at Granite Ridge Christian Camp up in Creston, California. Look it up on the map, Creston, California. And I'm a board member there, camp director, worked a lot of stuff. In my old days, in my youth, before my hair turned color in the old days, people said, well, what did you do at camp? And I said, imagine a cleaner, more safer version of Tripper Harrison and Meatballs. I was the activities guy all the time. So I had a whole life working camps, and I'm part of the Granite Ridge Christian Camp board up in Creston. So I think that's the commercial. Is that the commercial? That is the commercial. All right. So Tom Brady is off the table, right? Tom Brady is off the table. Brock Purdy is on the shelf. Jimmy G is out the door, and the 49ers are lost. It is the worst thing I've ever heard. The 49ers are in real trouble. Trey Lance can't be traded now, and he needs another year to develop. And that's the thing. He was supposed to develop this year, and you could see the rockiness early on, and he needed to develop, and he didn't get that playing time. And so they're back to square one, where he might need half a season to get everything under his belt. And so they're in trouble because, he might want to go because they were talking about Rance Carthon, the new GM at Tennessee, making a deal for him and bringing Trey Lance to Tennessee. But I don't think the 49ers can afford to let Trey Lance go because they're going to need him. But they don't have 2 years for him to develop. They have to win now. We talked about this in the last episode. The 49ers window is closing rapidly, and they're not going to have another year like they did last year. And so they're going to need help at quarterback. And I think it's beautiful.
I think that's the worst thing I've ever heard. How marvelous.
Yes, I think it truly is marvelous. All right. Butchered that bit. Amazon is where you could find my books. And I do have another book I'm just reminded to share. Actually, it's a Kindle short story called Broomball. You can check that out in a few days. That will be posted. So wrapping it up here, getting down to the nitty gritty here. It's amazing how LeBron James' sore left ankle found a way in Madison Square Garden last night, right? Didn't play in Brooklyn, played in Boston, didn't play in Brooklyn, then found a way to just throw up a triple-double last night. By the way, for the Knicks, if I could watch Jalen Brunson every night, I probably would become an NBA fan. Jalen Brunson is a pleasure to watch, but he's a Villanova guy, so he knows how to play basketball. Back to the Lakers. They are currently in a 15-team Western Conference. The Lakers are currently 13th out of 15, right? Their record is 24-28. And that's the part that really is so infuriating when you look at the NBA. There's only 4 wins separating them, 5 wins actually, separating them from the Kings and Clippers. The Kings and Clippers both have 29 victories, and they hold the 3rd and 4th spots in the NBA West, right? In the Western Conference in the NBA. Lakers are 24-28, and they gave away a game in Brooklyn. I don't think Kevin Durant's coming back anytime soon. They could have won that game in Brooklyn. They could be 25-27, but instead they set out. And this is it. Of course, the big stage at Madison Square Garden, yeah, they play LeBron James and Anthony Davis, but then they set out the night before at Brooklyn when they could have picked off a win that would have helped them in the Western Conference standings. There's only 30 games left, so you have to question with these guys, how bad do they want to win? Or does LeBron just want a scoring title, the all-time scoring leader? That's it. They just don't care. See, I get the feeling the players' union is going to press for a reduction in regular season games, but at the same time argue that their salaries should remain the same. They're getting so much Chinese money. I'm just thinking out loud that this is how the privileged, entitled players in the NBA, they control everything because the owners might be rich, but they're gutless and weak. They're Alfredo Corleones. You should take them out freshwater fishing, right? They won't stand up to anything what the players do. And so I can see it happening where the players are going to not want a cut in salary, but want a reduction in games. And even so, you'll find other times when they're sitting out. I just thought that was awful. With as boxed up as the NBA Western Conference is, the Lakers have an opportunity to maybe move up in the rankings, and they set out in Brooklyn. And obviously, they weren't hurting when they set out in Brooklyn. They just took the night off. That's a back-to-back. We don't want to do it, right? Wrapping up here. Sorry to hear about the passing of legendary NFL GM Bobby Beathard. Chargers, Redskins. He started with the Chiefs. And great GM. He passed away on Monday at the age of 86 from Alzheimer's. And it's really funny because Beathard was old when I was young, but he was an old guy who always seemed like he was young. And I think even into his early 60s, he was still surfing in San Diego. But he was a great NFL GM. Also, on this day in 2006, Rams legend Dick Scooter Bass passed away at the age of 68. And Dick Bass was the Rams offense on the ground throughout the 60s. He played about 9 years with the team. And he kind of passed the torch on to Lester Josephson, Willie Ellison, and that group before McCutcheon came in. But he was the Rams feature back. And he had some good years. He had a 1,000-yard season and was the Rams' only 1,000-yard back until McCutcheon came along in the 70s. He was also part of the color commentary for the Rams on KMPC back in their initial run, which was technically Anaheim. And just a good dude, good voice. But he passed away on this day in 2006 at the age of 68. So that's the show today. Work some new stuff in, hoping to work more stuff in the future. Hope you enjoyed the show.
It was a stone groove, my man.
Yes, it was a stone groove. It's always a stone groove when I get to talk football. And so thank you so much for clicking on. And we will see you again probably Friday. God bless. Take care. Don't forget to say hi. Leave a comment. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Don't forget to share. All right. We will talk to you soon. Until then, go Rams. God bless.